I'm going to state a number to you, and you tell me what that means. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Does this ring a bell? 751,888.
That is, yes, that is the total commissions that are currently in underwriting right now.
Well, total commissions that are in underwriting, and also some commissions that you've already made.
Yes, that includes the funded ones as well. Yep.
That is with the funded one. So I'm going to state that again: 751,888, and you haven't even been in this for a year.
No.
There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. You know, people always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's two words: hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Entrepreneurs in Finance, where we explore the daily lives of CCTG graduates, CCTG staff, and anybody else in between, as we like to say. Before we get going, I just wanted to tell everybody to, if you new to the podcast, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Commercial Capital Training Group, where you can catch features and interviews like this that come out, videos of even our class that come out on a monthly basis, multiple videos that come out every month. So just click the subscribe button, and you'll get the latest and greatest that's coming out from our companies. So on this episode, this is exciting. I'm reviewing a lot of notes here on this individual, and I'm very excited to interview him. Please give a warm welcome to Nick Zuchegno from Aspen Capital Solutions. Hey, Nick.
Kris, thank you. How you doing?
Good. And as we were discussing before, I'm just going to call you Nicky Z. Does that make sense?
I love it. We
do that as Italians, but it's just easier than butchering your last name. God knows people butcher my last name all the time. So.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah. So from one Italian to another, you're just Nicky Z from now on.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, hey, welcome to the show. Or podcast, I should say. It's interesting because you and I were chatting a little bit before. Did you ever think you'll be on here? Because you still watch these podcasts, right?
I do. Actually, I do. I've gone back through a few of them too, as well.
Have you?
It was funny because when I found the podcast, I started listening to them, but I had already done the research on the company and I had talked to a few other graduates. And so the podcast really honestly helped me realize what all goes into it before I even sat through class.
Okay. Is there one memorable one that sticks out in your mind?
Oh, Terry Luker.
Terry Luker's podcast.
For sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How the whole thing came together involved him as well. So, every time you interviewed him, I look back at kind of what he started with and where he came from and kind of how he got there, because we share a similar background.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, good to know. So, Nick, tell me about what life was like prior to CCTG. What were you doing? And then how did you come across, or how did you stumble across CCTG? And where are you from too, if you want to just announce where you're from?
So I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And originally from Ohio. I grew up all over Ohio, really. Moved down to Georgia for better weather in 2011. And I was in the automotive industry for about almost 13 years and worked my way from sales all the way to GM. And then I got out of that in the beginning of 2018 and went into the mortgage industry. And so I've been a part of the mortgage industry since then. And the way this all came about was I found that there are a lot of investors and clients that were asking me, do I do commercial loans? And after saying no a bunch of times and realizing I'm giving away deals that I could do, because I thought you had to have a master's degree in finance and work for a JP Morgan or a Goldman Sachs or, go work for a bank to do commercial lending. I had no idea you didn't have to do that.
And you were in residential mortgages, correct?
I was in residential mortgages.
Okay.
And so I'm giving away these deals or saying no to all these clients. And at some point I realized, you should probably figure out how to do this. So I started dabbling in the fix and flips, and I actually had done a couple with one of the lenders that's part of CCTG prior to coming to class. And then at that point I'm like, okay, we need to do this. So how'd
you find us?
So this is funny, and no one else has said this on any of your podcasts, but I actually Googled commercial finance school.
Okay.
I had done some reading, and I wanted to find an actual way to learn it from a school. And so you all popped up, and I didn't even look at any of the other ones, honestly. I looked at your guys' website first, and then I read every page. I went through every piece of it, and then I went to the videos. And I came across Terry Luker's video, and he was in the car business, same kind of pedigree, same kind of concept. I could tell he had a work ethic, you know. And so his story kind of forwarded me to the conversation with Mike. And then from there, the rest is history.
The rest, wow. Yeah. So you're the quite the anomaly of actually Googling what we are, because
that's exactly right.
99% of people stumble upon us. They're looking at a Dunkin' Donuts, and then they run across us on a, a portal that lists, franchises or opportunities. So yeah, that's interesting. All right. Well, so
trying to shorten the learning curve.
Yeah. Well, you certainly did. I mean, you got to the right place. That's exactly what we are. What were you? All right. So take me through, you spoke to, our enrollment specialist, Mike Geisler. What package did you purchase?
So I went the platinum route. And the reason I did that was more so the leads have been great, but coming from the auto industry, my last stint in the automotive industry, we had a brand new website rollout, and I was involved with the development of that and the cost analysis of it and what went into it. So I learned a lot about the back end SEO content, everything that goes into building those out. And so when I was looking at the different packages, that one piece was the main reason why I went the platinum route for sure.
You understand. You don't understand how much work goes into that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Completely different than a front facing website.
And I think people sometimes, they don't get that because they don't have experience in digital or web. Like,
right.
They don't value until they get here, and they, because, people just think, well, let me back up. They just don't see the value. They don't even understand what SEO is. So you having that experience, I guess sometimes people think they could do it themselves and they can't. I mean, that's not your profession. You're a finance professional, not a SEO specialist,
Right. No, I agree with you. And that was the main reason for it. And then I was actually going to come to the class in 2020.
Okay.
But because I started talking to Mike, I think it was the end of 2019.
Oh, wow.
And then COVID happened. And, when I left the automotive industry and went into the mortgage industry, I didn't have leads come in. I built that from the ground up. So I used savings to fund all the bills and everything at the time. And COVID happened, and I saw that coming again, but it didn't. We had a really good year. But I just kind of put it off to the back burner and say, I don't know what's going to happen yet. Let's just wait this out. And so I ended up coming in August of 2021.
August 21. All right.
Yep.
And I remember you came here. I remember you distinctively. I know you sat at the end of the conference table. And so tell me about that week. What were you feeling that Monday?
I was excited.
Were you excited? Were you nervous?
No, I was excited. Yeah, no, I knew. And the funny thing is, when I was in the automotive industry, we had special finance departments. I mean, I was used to dealing with 40 and 50 banks. And that's why I went in the mortgage industry. I'm like, all right, well, if I can do this, I can do that. Obviously, different animal. So with coming to CCTG, I actually was excited to take in everything. I wanted all the information. Honestly, I'd have stayed there till 10 o'clock at night. It kept going and going and going. So I was excited throughout the whole week to take it in. It was a lot of information. I mean, it was a lot.
Sure. Everybody says that. It is a lot, but you went through that week, and obviously it's an intense week. What were your thoughts when you got home? I mean, after you went through that whole experience, I mean, what was going through your head?
It was a jumbled mess, actually, because I had already started working on deals that I knew were coming, and I had no idea where to start. It's almost like I was running 100 miles an hour in 5 different directions, but you can't do that. You can only go in one direction. So trying to figure out how to get organized really was the hardest piece of it. And I just hit the ground running. Just made the appointments, started talking to banks, started reaching out to everybody that I knew as far as the commercial spectrum. And
you did everything we preach.
Absolutely.
Not only handle the leads that we're driving, but get out and talk to centers of influence networking.
Right. Yep. Put myself in some networking events, started getting the company out there, started promoting myself on LinkedIn. And you all actually do that, a big piece of that. So.
Sure. And just to be clear, you came through what month? August, right?
August. Yep.
August of 2021. Okay.
Right. So it hasn't been a year yet. It'll be a year in August.
But it's quite impressive. So you got out there immediately, started doing your thing. How, and so how, I'll just make a comment. Like, how do you like working with our team in terms of marketing team since that package?
Oh, great. Alex, funny story about Alex. So Alex and I started talking in July, right? And I can't tell you how many hours I spent trying to come up with a business name. If it wasn't 50 hours, it was more than that. And so I started talking to Alex on the phone, and within 15 minutes, we had Aspen Capital Solutions. And at that point, I realized this is why you pay somebody to do that.
Why Aspen? Is there a connection to Aspen, Colorado? Like,
Well, I told him, I was like, I want a nice, clean website design. I like white's clean, and I like skiing, I like doing all that stuff. And Aspen just happened, and
cool.
Capital Solutions. And I said, let's go with that. I love it. Let's do it. So
yeah, we have another Aspen, another successful grad, Shane Brandt, which is
Shane.
Aspen. What the hell's his thing? Aspen. Aspen Commercial Lending.
Commercial lending, right? Yeah.
So you guys might get into a trademark war maybe down the road, but who knows?
We'll share some deals together.
No, that's awesome. So I'm going to state a number to you, and you tell me what that means. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. Does this ring a bell? 751,888.
That is, yes. That is the total commissions that are currently in underwriting right now.
Well, total commissions that are in underwriting, and also some commissions that you've already made.
Yes, that includes the funded ones as well. Yeah,
that includes the funded ones. So I'm going to state that again: 751,888, and you haven't even been in this for a year.
No, not yet.
Surprise you, or you're just cocky and like, yeah, hell yeah.
No, I'm very humble about it. That's the ability to get out there and bring in the deals I was never afraid of. It was just being able to service the clients. I wanted to learn how to do this the correct way, not my way. And being a control freak like I am professionally, I like to know how to do everything. But I realized again, it's better off to let other people that know how to do what they need to do their job as well. So.
Wow.
It's been a lot of work.
And if I have my numbers accurate, total commissions you've made to date and closed 98,888.
Now that is accurate.
That is accurate. Okay.
That is accurate. Yep. And that's after actually we just closed a deal with you all last week. Prime.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that in a second. I haven't made it to that, but yeah. So wow. So you've been at it since August, not even a year, 98, a little over 98,000 and 751,000 total, with deals in that looks like that you have in the pipeline.
Right. It's exciting.
Congratulations. I mean, that's
thank you.
Freaking awesome.
Thank you.
So what would you attribute that to? I mean, if you look at it, because again, we do have some grads that struggle, right? And sometimes, and I even say this in class, you can attest to it, right? It's a two-way street.
Right.
We do our job, but you have to do your job. And oftentimes, your job's not spelled out in our contracts because, the contract is for your benefit of what we have to do. But your end of the bargain is a big end of the bargain. Like, you got to come to the table, do what you have to do. So sometimes I don't think grads do that to the best of their ability. But having said that, what would you attest this success to? I mean, especially in the first
I think for me, it's a fire that burns inside. I've had it since I was young. It doesn't shut off. I keep going. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I start my day out. I get coffee. Sometimes I get caught looking at the emails too early instead of get up, do the routine.
That's what happens to me too. Yeah.
But just, it's a fire and it drives me. And, I've learned that nothing comes easy. Nothing good comes easy. And so the harder it is, the more benefit you're going to get from it later. And, I ran into a few roadblocks. My very first deal that I started working on outside of CCTG was a $20 million construction deal I got from an agent I was already doing business with on the residential side. And it didn't fund. We lost the deal to another bank. So I had my first oh my Lord, this is going to happen to, okay, now I know what loss feels like because we're not getting that one. So
yeah.
It was a humbling experience, but for me, it's a drive. It's like, all right, if I can get that, I can get more. I can get another one of these.
But it drove you. You didn't sit there because when failure happens or disappointment, you have two options really.
Right.
You You either crumble up, cry about it, and keep crying about it, right? Or you
That's right.
use that as a springboard for motivation to say, keep going.
Right. Push harder.
Push harder. Yeah.
Push
Okay.
harder. But the learning curve has been the toughest part, and I knew I was going to have that. And I think for me, when I left the automotive industry and I went in the mortgage industry, I went from the top to being at the bottom. I mean, I started over again, so doing this was not going to be any different. And I knew that going into it. And
Right.
I knew there was going to be a learning curve, and I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I also knew, because I knew that, listen, we're just going to shut up, put up, and let's go. Like,
I love that
let's
attitude.
run.
I love that
So,
attitude. Yeah. Yeah. So, with all that being said, I mean, let's talk about the most recent deal that happened. So, as we gave you 50 lenders in here, more or
right.
less, a little over 50. And one of the institutions is my own, which, we're a direct lender in a couple different categories.
It's my favorite.
And you chose your favorite. Okay. Well, you chose to work with us. So, as you know, we give you a lot of other lenders. We give you our, I wouldn't say, well, yeah, competition or people that,
Right.
do things a little differently, but we're not the only lender in town to do the types of deals that we do, but we do things a little differently. What was your experience working with Prime, an in-house company here, and tell us about that deal and tell us what you netted off there.
Well, first off, I got to give credit to John and Mac. Those two have been amazing.
Our support,
John,
well, one of our
support,
our support
right.
people. Yep.
John's been a huge help with trying to figure out where to put some of these other deals, like the other one that's on there as well, that's funding at the end of the month. And when I submitted this deal to Prime, my first contact with Lucas, who's awesome, by the way. We work together on this one. We have a couple more actually that we're working on right now as well. But
Hey.
Him and I hit it off right away. We're both hustlers in a good way. And there's a few nights I got text messages at 10 o'clock. Hey, if you get me this, we could probably make this happen, this and that. And I'd have them to him the next morning at 6:30.
Beautiful.
So, we worked hard on that one. But yeah, we just closed that one last week. That was a $2 million deal. And we made some money on it.
You made some money on it. Well, why don't you say the commissions? I mean, I'll say it.
I was close to $56,000 actually.
56,000 on one deal.
Made on that. Yep.
56,000 on one deal, and I'm happy to give it to you. I mean, that's.
I'm excited. I appreciate that.
I'm happy to write that check to you for sure. And I appreciate you, working with us. And I think, I'm just going to say something about that because a lot of people sometimes wonder, but people always say, do we get right out of our family of companies? Do we get? Is there a benefit? Right? Do we get deals from grads? Right?
Right.
And I say, yeah, we do. We get a lot of deals from grads. That is a benefit, kind of an ancillary benefit to CCTG that we see. And you're a prime example of it. I mean, I think people like dealing with people that they like, and
Yeah, and knowing how Lucas works, and the thing is going through that first deal with him, I actually learned how he works. And so,
right.
And coming from the residential mortgage side, I would like to think that my paperwork's a little cleaner than most, because I'm used to collecting all the docs. And now that's another thing I learned in this industry. Instead of we get a client, we talk to a lender to see if it works. I don't do it that way anymore. I figured it out in the first month and a half. Like, no, when I get a client, give me all your docs, give me your financials, give me your tax returns, give me everything I need so I can look at it. And then at that point, let's put the deal together, to shorten the sales conversation. Because I learned sales is huge in this. Huge.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, learning Lucas and his work style, and he's on it. I think he has 2 more of my deals. Another one closes at the end of this month. And so yeah, Prime, you all have a lot of programs too. Prime has, I think, 3 different programs that you all do.
We do.
And so, and you said something about the big one that launched. You and I actually talked about that. I'm looking forward to taking advantage of that. There's some other things working. So.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No. We're rocking and rolling. I mean, it's been busy here, but thanks to, with majority of our business comes from referrals and brokers, and majority of CCTG brokers. And it's very, we like to think of it as a fraternity here. When we get a deal in from my own finance company into CCTG broker, it's kind of like it's kind of like helping out your brother or your sister
Right.
or family. You know what I mean? So we have a special
Absolutely.
place for we like paying everybody, but particularly CCTG brokers.
Well, I feel the same way because y'all gave us the education to do this. And so, and not that Prime doesn't, you all provided great rates. I mean, I'll be honest, the interest rate on that deal that I got was about the same as a residential. And so it was, there was nothing bad about it. Like, it was amazing. It was an amazing deal, amazing program, and the experience was awesome. So
yeah, no, we're happy to fund it. So, you talk about all this good stuff and you're a positive dude, which I love, but there's got to be something that sucks about this business on the commercial side. I mean, I know on the residential side, you got scars to prove it. Maybe you lost some hair in the residential days. I don't know. But on the commercial side, what have you found that you don't like about this, at least this business there's got to be something.
I think so far from what I've seen is going to be sometimes the underwriting can be a little fickle when we start getting into some deals. I'm a common sense person, and one of my pet peeves is when there's something small that's a problem that gets blown up into a giant issue that prevents a deal from funding when everything else makes sense. You have a good credit borrower with a business that cash flows, it's a property with good equity in it, buy the deal. I mean, fund the deal. So that's a pet peeve of mine. But, for the most part, everything comes with a price, and you got to navigate through the ins and the outs, so.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest one. Early on, it was just not knowing, not knowing how to start the sales process with a client, not knowing when to collect docs, what docs to collect, at what point. So I think, and this probably goes for other brokers too that started in this business, they're a little afraid to ask for all the docs up front. And then after going through the work that I went through with a few clients, it's like, no, that's not how we're doing this anymore. We're going to collect everything up front from everybody all the time. And if they don't want to work with us,
that works for you. And I think a positive aspect to that is it may weed out kind of the pretend too that don't want to get docs. Right.
Right. No, I agree. But it allows us to help the ones that are ready to rock,
sure.
and spend the time with those clients that we need to spend to make them successful. I mean, it's all about them. It's not about us.
Yeah. Right. Well, and what do you love about this business now compared to residential? Like, you made that transition. So what's like the one thing that sticks out that is a positive compared to what you did before?
I love dealing with business owners because I feel like what we provide them allows them to provide to others, and in my mind, and I was actually having this conversation with my father, that when we help businesses grow, those businesses are in turn helping the economy. So in essence, what we're doing is helping the economy.
For sure.
Because as businesses grow, it provides, more opportunity for individuals to invest in them or other opportunities for those businesses. I mean, that's what motivates me, is seeing, businesses make money, helping business owners grow, providing capital so they can make more money on it, expand their business, provide more opportunity for others, jobs. I mean, there's a lot that I'm seeing in a short amount of time that I've been doing this. Even on the construction side, we're doing 2 deals right now. One's a big apartment building, and it's in an area that doesn't have a lot of housing for the companies that are around there. So the current employees of those companies are driving 2 hours, an hour and a half just to get to work because there's not enough housing.
It'll help quality of life. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's that deal in Reno. That's a big one.
Okay.
So
right.
That's exciting. That's my favorite piece of it, is seeing how happy these business owners are when a deal's done and they're smiling ear to ear because they're able to move on and do the things that they need to do.
That's awesome. I mean, and it's just yourself, is that correct right now?
So I have an assistant, and I actually have 2 other people that work for me on the residential side that have been helping with Aspen Capital. And I have to give credit to my assistant, her and her husband. She's been listening to me for 2 years now, talk about how we're going to get into commercial. We're going to do this. Here's how we're going to do it. And then in turn, her husband's had to listen to her say that, hey, we're going to get into this. We're going to do that. So I got to give both of them credit. They put up with me for 2 years now. But yeah, no, all of us put together, I haven't hired anyone directly as sales agents because I've found that, just paying referral fees is the same. I have other people that are referring me deals. I just pay them a percentage of the commission. It's no different than having a 1099 employee, and they're happy about it. But we'll expand at some point, as we're getting busier. Obviously I can't do all of it. Right. But for us, it's just, I wanted to plant the roots in the ground. I wanted to make sure that we're stable. And then from there, just kind of expand accordingly.
Sounds like you're doing that.
Working on it.
Yeah, you're working on it. You're a hell of a way there. What's your plans? Like, you have goals for, obviously you have monster goals here for the end of the year, but what's your goals for like the next 12 months? Double your revenue? What's your master plan?
So I would love to fund $100 million. Now, I wouldn't say this year, but my big goal would be to break the 100 million in a year mark. I think that would be a big goal for us as a company. And obviously I would love to win broker of the year. Just small things like that. But there's other things that we've been doing too. We branched out. I actually partnered with an insurance brokerage just getting ready to launch. I found that that's a need too. There's some deals we've been doing business with that didn't have the right insurance in place, and that got kicked out of underwriting for that. They had to fix that. So it's like, if we can just cover all bases, why don't we do that?
Oh, well, you're on your way there. You should definitely nominate yourself for sure.
Oh, no. It's a collaborative thing. I stay humble.
Oh, I know, but that's we do a calling at the end of the year. Did you go to our conference this year or no?
I didn't. It was in October. I had just got out of class in August.
Okay. All right.
And I don't remember what happened. There was something that prevented me from doing that.
Right.
But I'm coming to this one.
Yeah. You better be there this year. All right. Well, I sometimes doing these interviews, I like to get to know, the person I'm interviewing a little more than that I already know. So here, I'm going to ask you some questions so people can kind of get a different view of you, if you will, that, we normally wouldn't know just by looking at a paper or knowing that you came through class. So here's question number one. What, if you could sit down with, I always like to say this, if you could sit down with anybody, past or present, in the entire existence of human history, spend 2 hours with them, pick their brain, who would it be?
There's two parts to that. The first part is, I've always appreciated people that built empires from nothing. That's been something that motivates me. So if we start with the celebrity side of it, it would definitely be Mike Krzyzewski. Okay. For what he's done in the college football arena, and built his teams, and all of his teams would go to war with him. The loyalty that he's brought to that program, I would love to sit down and pick his brain on coaching, psychology of it, what he thinks about how he manages the whole team aspect, because I think all of that applies to business too.
Sure.
Outside of that, for me, most of everybody else I can read about. And so, I would say this conversation right here with you is probably pretty influential for me, because you've provided us the ability to create Aspen and grow it. And I'm going to make more money this year than I ever have. And so, I would have to give you that kudos.
I'm certainly not that interesting, but
that's not true. Oh, that's not true. We just can't read about you yet. There's not a book that has, Kris Roglieri. But it's coming.
Yeah.
I know you'll write one at some point.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd ever write a book, to be honest with you. Maybe someone will write a book about me, and who knows? Good stuff, bad. But yeah. No, no, I appreciate that. But okay, I hear you on the Mike Krzyzewski thing. That would be an interesting one for sure. What's one thing people don't know about you that's like a quirky side of you? Something that you're into, a hobby? What would that be?
Well, this might be a little out there, but I'm a single dad to my 6-year-old daughter. So every kids movie, every kids song, I probably know all the lyrics to. and all the dancing and choreography that comes with it, and everything, because she knows it all. And
I was there too.
She gets mad if I don't sing with her too, especially Frozen. So
you probably know that. Yeah, at one point I was humming that around, when that first came out, because I have a daughter as well, and
Right.
Yeah, you find yourself just humming that around adults. And it gets weird.
Yeah, and it doesn't leave your head. You're sitting here trying to work, and you got "Let It Go" going on in your head. Maybe it's trying to tell you something. Let it go.
I hear you on that. You do the sleepovers and stuff. People,
Yeah, and they're interesting too because she's 6, so it's it's almost like they don't know how to sleep in the same room with other people yet, but
right.
they're trying to, and then they wake up in the morning and they didn't get enough sleep, and so everyone's cranky.
I hear you on that. Yeah.
So we got to make chocolate chip waffles.
Either that or just do a big bowl of sugar cereal.
Oh man.
No, that's well, congrats on being a single father. I mean, that's a good thing, and but it is a pleasure having a daughter. I know what that's like for sure.
It's very humbling.
Very humbling. It's very
humbling. She's a big reason why I push myself the way I do. I want her to grow up and see what it's like to have work ethic. I think school gives them a lot of education they need, but you can't teach work ethic, and you can't teach ambition, and you can't teach those things. So
you can't teach mindset either.
No, you can't teach mindset. Having a growth mindset and being confident in yourself and understanding that failure is success, because there is no success without failure, and it's okay to be to make mistakes, and just don't make the same one twice. That's
right.
all.
That's right. Yeah, we get one free pass a little bit here and
That's
there.
right. Well, most of the time.
Most of the time. If you weren't in finance, so if you could transport yourself to somewhere without the training, education, and you could just plop yourself in a profession, what would it be?
Oh, well, the thrill side of me would be a fighter pilot. Because I've had the motorcycles, I've had the fast cars, I love roller coasters. And so I think the next step up would be going 1,000 miles an hour in a jet by myself at, 20,000 feet.
That would be humbling. Yeah.
Having some fun, but
you could do that though, right? I mean, you could actually go the 2 cockpit ones where they could take you on a. You could actually experience that. I think I've never.
It's on the list. It's on the list. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if I think there's a size limit to that, and so I might need to go on a diet first. But,
yeah. Those things are. It's like Formula 1 cars, right? You can't be.
Right.
You don't see any 250-pound guys in Formula 1 cars because they literally build the cockpit around the person, and these guys are like jockeys. They're tiny.
Yeah, no, I would love to drive one of those too, but and I'm not 250 pounds, and I hopefully never will get there. But
yeah.
But that would also be fun. I would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Well, I know you like cars too. Have you driven a Formula 1 car?
You know what? No, I have not. Not like the ones you see on the F1 races. I have not driven one, so that's on a bucket list for me.
Right.
For sure. That is on a bucket.
Now, is there a way to pay for that and do that too, or is it
Yeah, there is. There's some tracks that will have one. You got to learn. You got to go through a program to learn it, because those cars you just don't start it and go. It takes a whole team to start it. Like you're talking about laptops, and they got to check stuff.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then even to get going, it's hard because those cars are not built for stop and go. They're just built for go.
Right.
And, a lot of times with those cars, you only have about maybe 15 starts, like meaning goes. Like you can't stop and go in traffic because they're just meant to keep going into occasional pit stops. So the clutch usually burns out at the end of every race. They have to replace those cars. So yeah, it's a whole different world. But I would love to drive one. So let me transition to kind of the last segment of this. Is you have the ability to ask me anything. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be about finance. Doesn't have to be about anything. It could just be totally random. So, have at it, just to keep things interesting.
Well, I think the first question I would ask is, if you were going to write a book on how to become a billionaire, what plan of action would you put in that? And it's not because I'm not trying to throw your finances out there or anything like that, but Prime Capital is a big company. You know what I mean. Prime Capital is a big company. You have CCTG, you have Prime, you have the finance marketing group. I'm sure you have other real estate ventures in there too as well. So, that mindset that you have and everything you've created with that blueprint in a book, what would you give someone starting from nothing as far as advice to get to that point?
I think really there's 2 ingredients that are very, very hard to stop, right? And if you
Right.
have two ingredients and you mix them well, you're almost unstoppable to a point. And I think so. A is determination, that
Mhm.
never quit attitude, determination slash motivation. Let's use that as one. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yep.
And the other ingredient is passion. So if you have passion and you have that and you mix that with determination and that never quit attitude. And when I say passion, meaning whatever you're doing for a profession, you have to love doing it. Because there's
Right.
nothing, because I know guys, so I have friends of mine that, you know, they've inherited a business from a family, they're in a trash business or they're in a, just a making, steel or a trucking business, and they make money. Don't get me wrong,
Right.
they make a lot of money, but and they even tell me there's no passion there, and
Right.
they're kinda lost, and so,
Right.
if you have passion and you love what you do and you have that never quit attitude, I think you're unstoppable. You just have to, that I think that's the ingredient to, becoming, if you wanna become a billionaire, although I can't attest to being a billionaire yet, right? Yet, but I can say that I definitely see, and I have some mentors of mine that are, believe it or
Right.
not, I do. And the one thing that I see is they have that passion, and I'm talking about ones that have started from nothing, not,
Right.
inherited stuff but have
Right.
started from nothing. They have passion and have that never quit attitude, and I think those are the two ingredients you need.
It's funny because those two ingredients, you can't teach those.
You can't. No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
You either have them or you don't.
Have them or you don't, for sure,
You
and I've
know.
said that many times.
Yeah.
Um, what else? Anything else?
What's the next car you're gonna buy?
What's the next car? You know what? I don't know, because nothing that's coming out interests me, because I hate to say this, but everything's going electric.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that.
I know I'll have the environmental people start screaming, but I just, nothing really. I'm, if I, next car probably be an older. And I say older, I don't mean
Right.
classic, but just older. That something that sounds loud and gobbles up a lot of gas, and it's
Right.
that's what I've grown to love. Like, a lot of these hybrids that are coming out, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not. You know?
I agree with you on that. I drove a Tesla the other day, and it just, as fast as it is, it's great, but it doesn't have that feel as the 72 GTO, or
Yeah, okay.
something like
I
that, where you're
know, that's
sitting
what
in
I
there,
mean.
you're going to spend the same amount of money on the car. Yeah.
I know. I know. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get it. Yeah, everybody's like, "Oh, Tesla's fast, fast." Yeah, I get it, but fast is only one component. I mean, there's
Right.
cars that you can drive that are not fast, but they give everything to you.
Right.
Just
Right.
you feel it. It doesn't have to be fast, but
Right.
it doesn't have to be 1,000 horsepower or anything like that.
Oh,
Uh,
I agree with you. I agree
any
100%.
anything else?
Let's see here. There was another question I had. Oh, how do you shut it off? I guess is the key for me, and because I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. And
Well,
so when you get to a point where you're working all the time, and even when you're doing personal stuff, you're working. Like I played golf 2 days ago. I pretty much worked in my brain the whole time. For sure.
um, all right. You know what? That's actually a great question, and I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer it raw and honest. To be honest with you, it's so no one's ever asked me that question, but so I'm going to be a little vulnerable here, being that this is going to be publicized, but I'll be vulnerable.
Right.
Um, it's hard. It's
Right.
very hard to shut off, and um, I'll tell you this: that because I have a problem shutting it off, I do. It's a personal problem,
Right.
only because I put business first
Mm-hmm.
in front of a lot of things. I do, and to the point where it's affected personal relationships.
Right.
It it's I had a divorce.
Right. Me too. I
But
get
we're,
it.
but we're, you know, I mean, I always say this, we're great. We're actually best friends, and it's wasn't mess, but it, it's to the point you have to be, you know, I was telling this, I got asked to speak to a school of high school kids that were in a business class. This was about 2 months ago. And, they asked, oh, you know, what are some tips, you know, to make into business? And I was raw with them. And I said, you know what? I said, you have to have an attitude that you're going to have to sacrifice everything.
Right.
And they're like, well, what do you mean? You know, and I said, well, here's what I mean. I said, I had to sacrifice a marriage. I sacrificed personal relationships that have come into my life since then. Um, and I go, there's going to be people that you're going to have to stop hanging out with. There's going to be people that are going to criticize you. There's going to be, and all these people along the way are probably going to fall off because
Right.
you can't give them the time that they need, but only because you're putting this as a priority, right?
Right.
So, you know, it's a long-winded answer, but you know, you say, how do you shut it off? It's an ever practicing thing. It doesn't go away. Sometimes I'm better at it. Sometimes I'm not good at it. Right. It's a
Right.
it's a constant thing that you're practicing. You know, and you know, I would say that as a business owner, people are bullshitting if they say, yeah, when I go home, I shut it off.
No, I don't.
You don't, because you carry those worries with you. I don't give a shit what happens. You carry those worries with you, no matter if you're eating dinner. You just can't shut it off.
Right.
You know, outside of, you know, substances or alcohol, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, but no, you know, that's not the right thing to do. So
Right.
it really is a struggle. I think that's one of the negatives of an entrepreneur mindset, because yeah, it's going to affect a lot of personal relationships, 100%. And you look at like entrepreneurs of our time, Steve Jobs. Everybody calls Steve Jobs a narcissist, right?
Right.
And entrepreneurs almost have narcissistic. If you look at the definition of a narcissist, we have a lot of them,
Right.
right? We do, and it's a mindset. And
Right.
others will look at it and criticize you and label you, but the bottom line is, like, you know, that's what separates the Steve Jobs from the people who are not, you know? And so
Right.
I think, I don't know if that helps you at all, but
Oh no, it does. It just confirms my ability to not be
yeah,
able to do it either.
yeah, you know what I mean? You can manage put it this way. It's a daily managing thing.
Right.
Right? And I find, and to the point where, like, sometimes I sit down with my kids at dinner, and my daughter will call me out. He goes, Daddy, you're on your phone. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, you're right. And I have to put it away. You know what I mean? And that's just me managing it. Right. And I'm more conscious of it. So never goes away. It's just, you gotta, is this the piece you got to wrestle with every day?
Yeah, I agree. That's tough. You know, what sparked that question actually was my daughter last week asked me to get off my phone.
I know.
And I was like, right? Wow, 6-year-old.
Well, they're smarter.
Hit me hard too.
I know, man. They're smarter than you. My daughter has said that. Daddy, you're always on your phone. Or, Daddy, you always have a business call. Or, Daddy, you always have a you know, and it breaks your heart, especially with a daughter.
Right.
I've been there many times, my friend. Many times.
Man. Yeah, it's tough. You know, and she had, I don't know, I tried to explain it to her. I was like, listen, everything I'm doing right now is for later. You know, so if I had it my way and I didn't have to do anything anymore and I could just retire, I'd go back to the old flip phones that didn't even have internet on them.
And they were a lot cooler than the ones we have today, because they look
cool.
I
agree.
And you remember the days you used to take that phone, you just use your thumb and you flip it? It was such a flex, you know? You got a flip phone, it means you're somebody.
I had the one that had the walkie-talkie on it too. The Nextel.
Yeah. You were important too if you had the Nextel.
That's right. That's right.
You know, that was a great question you asked, by the way. I've never been asked that before, so I really do appreciate that.
Well, I was trying to think of something that I could ask that was different, because again, like I said, I've gone through all the podcasts, you know, some of them more than once.
So you know all the questions. No, yeah.
Right, a lot of them, you know, and it's funny, even now, like I'll go back through a couple. If I get a deal that I know you talked about with a different grad, I'll go try to find that podcast and flip to the point to where you talk about the deal, and I'm like, okay, here, this is how they did that. Okay,
cool. Yeah,
you know, so it's a tool.
A lot of graduates watch this. Last question.
What's up?
Last question of this, and I'd let this has been great so far. But last question for you is, what would you say to um, either somebody looking to get into this, or maybe a grad that's just got into this and they're struggling to find their way a little bit? Any words of advice to people knowing what you know now, being that you're almost a year into this?
Well, I think the biggest piece is the execution part. I think anybody can set goals. And I think half of those people that set goals can formulate a plan, but not everybody knows how to actually go out there and execute it. And, for me, I made up my mind to do that before I spent the money on the package. I didn't fly to New York and spend that much money to just say, oh, well, this could be a shot at this or this and that, whatever. Like, I had a plan,
Right.
and I knew I was going to execute the plan. Now, the nice thing is you can pivot here. And once you're executing it, you learn, oh, let's pivot this way, or let's pivot that way, or we got to make this change, we got to make that change, but you're not going to know any of that until you execute. So I would say
Sure.
that's the first part. Execute the plan, get out of your comfort zone and do it. Get out there and do it and fail. Don't be afraid of it. If you fail, great. That's success. You know why? Because you know what to do next time or not to do.
Right.
And the second part of it would be to really manage the expectations. Don't listen to people who haven't done it. Like, for instance, I take advice from you, I take advice from John, I take advice from Mac, I also take advice from other CCT grads that are doing well. But I've also ran into other brokers in this field that didn't go through the program, that have been at other networking events. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody's going to have an opinion of what you could do, should do, how you do this and that, whatever. Like, let them go in your mind and out the other. Pick and choose what you want to listen to. Don't listen to everything. Just put your head down and get to work.
Yeah.
Go work.
Good.
Everything good is going to happen when you go work. Like, it's
Right.
You put yourself out there, and success happens and failures happen, and you celebrate the successes, you learn from the failures.
And stop
Kinda how it
complaining. Stop. Sometimes people put more effort into complaining than they do actual work.
Right.
And-
Well,
and-
yeah. Well, you mentioned just now that a lot of your people are going to drop off, once you start working and this and that. And I think that's the biggest first fallout. All your friends that complain and bitch all the time, they're the first ones to go. All the people that you surround yourself with, all they want to do is complain about their life. They're the first ones to go, because once you put your head down and you start working and you bust your ass, you're the one feeling the pain from it. They're not. So you got to feel the pain from yours, and then you got to turn around and go feel the pain from theirs too. That ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But
yeah,
we're like clay. We start off moldable, and then we mold it how we want. But you got to go through hell and fire before you get to the masterpiece. So it's you got to do it.
Good way of doing it. Good way of putting it.
That's what I would tell them. Just execute the plan and fail.
All right.
So,
Well, that's a great way to I think to wind this down. Good words of wisdom. Listen, Nick, I do want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're certainly busy according to these numbers. I do want to just again say thank you for being a good example of what a grad should be, or and doing what you're supposed to be doing. And thanks for taking the time to chat with us here. I think a lot of what you said was insightful, for sure.
I appreciate that, Chris. Pleasure's all mine. I'm happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for this episode. Hopefully all of you enjoyed it from my interview here with Nick. And again, if you're just coming into this, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Commercial Capital Training Group, where you can see more of these that come out on a monthly basis. We will catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Chris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business.